What's happening, Wisdom Warriors of Light? Back at it for another video. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fine. I'm back here at the park in my car to do another car video. I guess this is my spot. It's a gorgeous sunny day. And I don't know, man. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple things about something that I feel like on a collective level, a collective scale, on as a whole, what we're all going through and experiencing. I feel like on a level of, I think it goes beyond just us as individuals. It's on a much wider scale that I feel like a lot of us are going through and experiencing on a much deeper level. And I know I've spoken about this topic many, many times already, but it's a topic that we need to continue to be reminded of, and we need help with, and we need assistance with, because each and every one of us are dealing with it and have been dealing with it for generations. It's not just a one and done, and you're just experiencing in this life and that's it, or this relationship and that's it. But I know that I've over the years been having to let go and detach from people, places, and things, and it's been a progressive change. It's been like, it hasn't been just like boom, it just happened. It's been happening over the years, but I didn't really see it and I didn't really realize it. But it's like almost like where your world feels like it's completely turned upside down, and you don't even speak to or see anybody anymore that you used to see, and you're just like spinned off into another area. And it's like, I now look back and I have to say that from a higher self perspective, I feel like I was being slowly, progressively guided towards moving and leaving Florida. And it had to happen because there was too many attachments there that I had. There was far too many attachments. And it's hard for me to sometimes admit that and say that, yeah, I was attached. I always would say that I'm independent and I do my own thing and I've barely been in relationships and blah, 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 and this and that, versus like people that are glued at the hip with their partner or their family or whatever. And I always found myself like pushing away from that, maybe because I didn't want to say, oh yeah, I'm codependent, or I'm dependent on this or that, or this state, or this place that I'm living, or, and it's been a gradual shift. But at the same time, I haven't really realized that why these things are happening around me and why people are just kind of disappearing. Even though they're still in existence, they're like disappearing, and it's for my own good and their own good. To release that attachment, that control, that codependency, all of it. And I feel like a lot of us don't want to recognize it, and a lot of us don't want to acknowledge it. We have a hard time admitting that we are codependent, or we are dependent on like being where things are familiar to us. There is a large percentage that thrive off the unknown, thrive off going to places that, is new, and then there's a large percentage that have difficulty with change, have difficulty with detaching themselves. And when I say detaching, I don't mean that you don't love that person or that place or that thing. I don't mean that whatsoever. You can still have love for somebody but not be attached, because being attached is the root of all suffering. That's where the suffering comes into play. And I'm realizing on a bigger scale as to why I've been feeling exhausted lately, and for weeks and months now, like physically exhausted. And it's because that I've been kind of trying to hold on to things that, not material things, but things like kind of certain people in my life, like family related, that I didn't understand why things didn't make sense to me or them, why we weren't feeling in alignment, why, just we've been growing farther and farther apart. And because there's something bigger happening for humanity, which is we're releasing karmic cycles, we're releasing codependency, we're releasing attachments to things and people and places. And that's why a lot of people are finding themselves moving, because there was too much attachment to that thing or place, or they're losing their jobs, or they're losing relationships, because a lot of these are based on attachment and codependency, and and it needs to break. It needs to collapse. It needs to crumble, because when you can live in a place where you love someone, but you're not attached to them, right? So they can just go on a trip, or they can leave for months at a time, and it doesn't affect you. Yes, you may be emotional. Yes, it may bother you, but there's not suffering underneath it. There's not like literally suffering, because when you're attached, it feels like suffering. When that person is taken away from you, maybe they pass on, or they just leave and they say, sorry, this isn't working anymore. I have to move on. Like, your world is crushed. I'm not going to say it's not going to be, but there's a big difference between attaching yourself to it, to the outcome. Like, I have to get married. It has to end up this way. It has to be a white picket fence with children and this and that. And that's an outcome. That's you being attached to that outcome. And when you can detach from that outcome and just be like, yeah, I would like to be married, and I would like to have kids, and I'd like to have the white picket fence, but I don't need to have it. I could want it, but I don't need it. I don't need that person in my life, but I want them in my life. There's two different things there. And people get misconstrued about attachment and love, and like, because you don't have that attachment anymore to that individual, it's like you don't care anymore. And that's not the truth. There can be 100% emotional connection, but there's not attachment. Like I said, attachment is two different things. And I feel like I'm going to talk more about this in another video. Maybe I'll go into more depth on the definition of attachment and maybe give more examples, because I feel like this is an ongoing thing that we're working through as a collective and as humanity. And I've been going through it for months now, even years, I would say. And I was very attached to everything, and like, the minute something changed is the minute my world came crumbling down. I went through immense suffering in 2017, 2018, when we were selling one of the houses and we were moving, and things started disappearing in the house, material things like furniture, and everything just was being sold off. And funny thing is, I was actually selling the stuff off. And I would like that old saying, like, out of sight, out of mind. Well, I went and hung out at the beach, went to the mall, went to different places to avoid being there, seeing these things disappear. And I was so freaking attached to living in that area, living in South Florida, because I was there a majority of my life. I was so freaking attached to it. And I was suffering physically, mentally, spiritually. When that house was being sold, I was almost like trying to sabotage it. I was almost trying to sabotage the furniture selling, even though I put it on Facebook. And I was trying to sabotage the sale, because I was so attached to my identity in Florida, in what I did every day, going to the gym, doing these things. I was so attached to the gym, 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then I hit rock bottom. And then my world crumbled. And then the gym got taken away from me. And then people got taken away. And then everything was starting to leave. Like the properties were being sold. The property was being sold. It was just like, and then I moved like in like a matter of 2015 to 2018, like 3 or 4 different times. All this was happening to bring me to a place of not being attached, to force me into letting go of attachments, because it was creating immense suffering in my life. And I'm sure you can relate to it. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to it, because a lot of us are going through that change right now and have been going through that change. I've been going through it for at least the minimum the last 10 years. And my world does not look anywhere like it did before. It's even like I've been going through the death of different identities of myself too, and the deaths of different masks I've been wearing. I mean, all of this has been a progressive thing moving forward, but it's almost like I said, I was dropped here into this place where nothing is the same. Nothing is as I knew it before. And I have to process it. It took me so long to process that move from Florida. And ironically enough, like today, I saw 2 Florida plates, and I'm not even in the same state, and I keep being drawn to different things, which I don't fully know right now what that means in my life at this moment. But, as time goes on, more clarity will come. But, I feel like this is a good place to stop. I urge you to there's a book I just recommended to someone, which they also heard of and have been hearing of, which you may want to check out, which is The 4 Agreements, which it talks a lot about letting go and detaching and starting with like a small item, like maybe this coconut water, and it means so much to you, and just giving it away, and seeing how that feels to you, and start with a very small materialistic item and begin at that stage, and and just give it away, and then give something else away and see how it feels to you. That's a good way to start. So I hope this video finds you well. I hope you get something out of it. I hope that you can learn and grow from it. Like I always say, that's the most important thing with the videos I put out. I'd rather you grow and learn something from it than just watch it for entertainment. So I hope something in here helps you in your life, and maybe you can let go of some attachments that you have that are creating immense suffering in your life. And with that being said, get out in nature, experience all of light with no attachments, so that if somebody comes along and takes that individual out of your life, that it's not going to rock your world. Yes, you may cry. Yes, you may grieve. Yes, you may have emotional reaction, and that's okay. But you don't have the attachment to it. There's a difference, because that's what causes suffering. I hope again this video found you, and you needed to hear something in this message I brought, because somebody needed to hear it. I love you all so much, from my heart to yours. Take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, I will see you in the next one. I love you all, and I will see you soon. Let's go, Wisdom Warriors of Light. We got this. Charge!